Hello everybody and welcome back to a brand new episode of the 2021 F1 My Driver Career Mode. I hope you're all having a great day. Today we have the most historic race of the season coming your way with the Monaco GP. Very excited to take on the tight streets of Monaco here for the first time with the Aston Martin. Not sure exactly how to feel about this one. Last time it came to Monaco, it was pretty bad for us in the Haas car, but obviously now we've had quite the step up with the team movement to Aston Martin. Therefore, I'm excited to see what we can bring to these streets of Monaco. So hopefully it'll work out in our favor here today. Now, as we've had a great first two Grand Prix, we finished 6th in Bahrain and 5th in China, and both of those races we were probably a 10th to 12th place car. So I was very delighted with both results so far here. Now, as coming into Monaco, definitely I feel like we're going to be once again down on pace a little bit compared to our teammate of Sebastian Vettel. So that was a bit concerning coming into this one, as he has outpaced us in both Grand Prix so far, but we've managed to beat him with safety car luck and just strategy luck as well, playing into our favor compared to him. Vettel has made Q3 each GP so far, and I myself have not actually made it into Q3 yet, so I've only been able to get to Q2, so hopefully we can change that here today from Monaco. Now, as we started at FP1 here, now just trying to get used to the car, seeing how it's going to handle around these circuits now, these tight streets. So we would get onto the track, and I did the track acclimatization program. We did decent, actually didn't do that great, but we did decent, did enough to pass at least. But in the race strategy program, we were in the positive pretty much the whole time, so that was one of the good things. Now, as there was points in Sector 2 where I was really losing a lot of time with this car, and you can see that there on the time delta now, as I felt like the first lap was actually my best lap through the second sector, but still we went positive over the delta eventually, and we would do the same thing on the second lap. We would get up into the positive by the end of the lap, as well as the same situation for the third and final lap that I would complete as we came through down this front straightaway. 0.2 of a second there above the delta, so looking pretty decent at the start of this practice now, as we would end free practice one there in P12. 0.4 about down on our teammate Vettel. I did make a lap on the soft tires, wasn't a very good lap, so I was looking forward to going back into FP3 to make another attempt here now as we came into the session. A lot more overcast conditions here for this third practice session. So it was driving a lot better now. I was actually considering, though, changing the setup completely on the car because it still wasn't driving good enough. We beat the qualifying objective and get 15th, but we were 12th here in free practice 3 and still lose out by a couple of tenths to our teammate of Sebastian Vettel, which is actually the closest I think we've really been to him so far this season. So it looks like we're at least making some improvements here as we come into the first qualifying session. And like I said, I was thinking about completely changing the setup, and I can confirm I actually backed out of the qualifying before I went into it and completely changed the setup and brought a new one. And I now have 3 Monaco setups. It's the most I have for any track. Other tracks I have just 1. Spain I do have 2 setups. This one now we're on my 3rd setup that I'm trying to get used to and hope that it makes me a little bit better. And this is the most comfortable I've felt at Monaco so far with this setup, so I was pretty happy with it now. In Q1 we crossed the line there late in the session, and we were only in P15, so I had to make another lap here at the end of this session, and we were going above the previous lap we had set there. It was looking a lot better. We were about a tenth or two to the good, and then we increased it to about 0.3 of a second by the end of the lap. Got through here really well. I kind of abused track limits there. Thankfully didn't do any floor damage or anything now as we came through though into the final corner. So 0.4 of a second to the good, but then I make a mistake right there and it drops down to about 2.5 tenths, but that was still enough to get us into P11 and through into Q2. So we get through there not by much there in P14. Vettel would drop down to P12. Lando Norris was actually the fastest now, as you see Bottas, Hamilton, Ricciardo, and Charles Leclerc at his home track there in the 5th position. As we look at the other drivers eliminated, Giovinazzi, Latifi, Isla, Zhou, as well as Mick Schumacher. Now Stroll again in the Haas makes it to Q2, and he is really proving that I think Stroll already deserves to be in a very much better ride than he's in now. As we came through though into Q2, I make a big mistake though late in the session when I was making my only lap. We DNF from qualifying. We crash out for the first time in our F1 career. We have actually crashed in qualifying, or at least crashed enough to DNF the car, I should say, because we've had a few moments where we spun out here and there, but we've never actually fully crashed the car. But of course it would happen in Monaco. So now that puts us down in P15 as Vettel makes it into Q3, as we're going to get ready to go here for the Monaco Grand Prix, where we have quite a bit of work to do, as we're going to send it over to Crofty.
Formula One returns to Monte Carlo once again today, home to the world-famous Monte Carlo Casino, first opened in 1863. And, of course, a certain road race, first held here in 1929. There's no greater an occasion, no more valuable a win than the Monaco Grand Prix. The prestigious Circuit de Monaco then. It's not all that dissimilar today to the layout that made its debut almost a century ago. It's 2 miles and 19 corners through the streets of Monte Carlo, and although the average lap speed of around 93 miles per hour is the lowest of the season, the tiny margins for error make it the natural habitat of the safety car. Also here, of course, is Anthony Davidson. Let's discuss Red Bull. We have a number of changes to the aerodynamic regulations this year, and the signs haven't looked good for them so far in terms of getting to grips with those changes.
There are a few downcast looks within the team this weekend. I think they've been hit fairly hard by the new regs. But this is only the first step down a long road of development, and even if they don't maximise their points today, there are plenty more up for grabs this season.
Off the back of a fantastic qualifying session, it's time to see how our starting grid looks for today's race. Valtteri Bottas lines up on pole position, edging out Sergio Perez, who lines up P2. Moving on to the rest of the grid, we have Verstappen, Sainz, Charles Leclerc and Ricciardo, Norris, Russell, Vettel and Pierre Gasly, Hamilton, Ocon, Yuki Tsunoda and Stroll, the rookie Mick Schumacher, and Guan Yu Zhou and Callum Island. Latifi and Antonio Giovinazzi starts from the back of the grid. That's it then, it's time to go racing as we head to trackside for today's race.
There you saw the starting grid now as we're down in P15 after that big shunt in the qualifying session. So we got some work to do, and this is not a track where you want to be in a position where you need to pass a lot of people, of course, so that was concerning, and I know that we're going to have to rely on strategy and just pure aggression to get myself up throughout the field. So getting points today is going to be a challenge, but I am up to the challenge. We have proven in the first 2 Grand Prix, even if we don't have the pace that we think we should have, we're still able to overcome that and find a way to get good points out of it now as we get on the grid here from P15. Lewis Hamilton all the way down in P11. He is about to have a rough day as well here in the Mercedes. The championship leader won the first 2 races of the season. Now as it's 5 red lights, Bottas, Perez on the front row as it's lights out. We are underway. Verstappen there in 3rd place under attack already from Carlos Sainz. Perez around the left-hand side. Bottas now out of turns 1, a huge move, and Perez to the lead on the opening lap now over Valtteri Bottas. And there you see Verstappen side by side with Carlos Sainz in the Ferrari. So it's Red Bull BMW in the lead as Verstappen continues to scrap it out with the Ferrari driver now, as there, sure enough, Verstappen takes over the 3rd position, or holds on to the 3rd position, I should say, now, as I actually make a move there up the inside of the AlphaTauri, and I had gained 1 spot on the start over Schumacher, who did not get off to a great launch, as you can just see how slow everything is into that hairpin now, as everyone starts to get back up to speed, settle in here, and now try to get on the attack towards the end of this first lap. But a lightning start from Sergio Perez now, who is yet to get his first win with Red Bull BMW. Now last season in our My Driver career mode, we never saw him win. We only saw 1 win from Red Bull in general, and that was from Max Verstappen in the Mexico GP. So they're trying to start off the season a lot better. They're still winless, but today it looks very good already at a track that's very tough to pass. So I myself was down here in the 13th position, but we gained a couple spots, so I was happy about that because we got past Tsunoda as well, right behind Esteban Ocon there in the Alpine. So I was waiting to get the right opportunity to make a pass on him, but you can see how much of a struggle already it was on the end of the 2nd lap. Lewis Hamilton was stuck directly behind Pierre Gasly. Lewis was on the soft tire, Gasly was on the hard tire, and he still couldn't pass him. So when I was seeing that, I knew, I was like, oh gosh, this is going to be a really tough day to pass here in Monaco, and Lewis Hamilton can't even do it. And an interesting stat is if Hamilton can't manage to get points, it's kind of interesting. Last season, he won the first 2 GPs of the season. Monaco, he DNF'd. Well, today, coming into Monaco, he's won the first 2 GPs of the season, and if he doesn't get points today, it's almost like, of course, a DNF almost, because he didn't get any points last season at Monaco either. So it's an interesting trend here, as I lost a lot of grip right there trying to get the DRS and overtake mode on there with the ERS on Ocon. But now, a little bit later, we finally had an opportunity where we were close enough to attack Ocon here on lap 7. A move to the right, a move to the left now as we're side by side into turns 1, and we complete the pass on Esteban Ocon in the Alpine, and we we move up into 12th place now. And I just love being in this Aston Martin, in a car that's capable of fighting other drivers now, instead of being in the Haas that's the slowest thing on the planet. It really feels really good to be able to put the attack to people and actually get aggressive now. Speaking of aggressive, a little bit too aggressive right there, as I made a big mistake. Thank goodness it did not damage the car. We saved it to now as we were coming to this 9th lap of the GP, and we got right to the gearbox of Lewis Hamilton by lap 11. My teammate of Sebastian Vettel had come into the pit lane. He was actually starting to back up to Pierre Gasly, Hamilton, and myself towards the end of that run. So now on the end, though, of lap 12, Lewis Hamilton decides he's going to come into the pit lane. So trying to do the undercut, maybe to get himself in front of Pierre Gasly now, which would be a good move for him. So Gasly, though, on that hard tire, he can go, honestly, as long as he wants. Those hard tires could go from lap 1 to 39 easily. I could even stretch my medium tires to the end of this race if I wanted to, of course. Now, as we can see behind us, that actually Max Verstappen had pulled off the undercut on Perez and gotten the lead from him with the pit strategy. Bottas still in 3rd place, but they were all stuck behind the drivers behind me of Esteban Ocon. So that was a nice little advantage for myself. I was really hoping that was going to happen, but I knew it was just a matter of time until Ocon had come into the pit lane. It wasn't coming to lap 17, so I was expecting any moment now, though, that Ocon was going to make a pit stop here. And now, so I was right on the gearbox of Gasly, trying to get a move made on him. Now, as we come through out of that final turn, we're very close to that gearbox right there of Gasly. He has no DRS, we do, and we have overtake mode on, and side by side for the lead. For the first time in our F1 career, we make a move and take the lead in the Monaco GP. No better race, no more prestigious race to take the lead of here than the Monaco GP. Now, for the first time in our Formula 1 career, it feels so good to actually be leading a GP. Obviously, we have to come into the pit lane soon and give up that lead and maybe be down in like 11th, 12th place or something like that, but it was certainly very nice to actually have the lead for the time that we did here now in Monaco. But I knew, like I said, it was just a matter of time until that was taken away from us. So just trying to enjoy it while it lasted and not trying to make any mistakes. It's hard to enjoy a lead in Monaco when you got to be as focused as possible, really, so you don't run into either the left side or right side guardrail and damage your front wing. It's just so easy to do that here in the Monaco GP. Now, as we came through towards the end of lap 19, Esteban Ocon comes into the pit lane there in the Alpine, so that's going to open the door for Verstappen, Perez, and Bottas to get right to the gearbox of Pierre Gasly, and then myself if he determines he's going to pit any earlier. And surprisingly, Gasly pits at the end of lap 20. I'm on the medium tire and I stayed out way longer than him. I was very surprised by that, but that opened the door for Verstappen, Perez, and Bottas to get right to my gearbox. But with it being so hard to pass here in Monaco, that when they got here, they couldn't do anything with me. So I was able to just hold on to the lead for however long I wanted. If there wasn't like a mandatory pit stop in Formula 1, I would be able to probably go to the end of this race and win the race on the medium tire. But obviously it doesn't work like that. We do have to come into the pit lane. There's I scraped the guardrail just a little bit, and I felt like I scraped it on the left side a little bit as well right there. But fortunately, no damage to the wing after that, so we were okay. Just a bit of a false alarm and a little bit maybe too worried there with the car, but we hold on to the lead for the time being now, as we were getting ready, of course, a little bit later to make our pit stop. It was going to come between about lap 27 to 30. Anywhere in there was really going to work, and we were going to put on the soft tires, so pretty straightforward strategy for us here in Monaco. Now, as I definitely overfueled the car into this GP, unfortunately. Now, I thought I was going to burn a lot of fuel. That was not the case. I could have easily put a lot less fuel in the car, so that's something I'll keep in mind for next season. I've been doing a lot better with the fuel that we put in the car lately, so that's been a nice improvement for this season as well. But now on to lap 25, still holding on to the lead, and I was definitely backing these guys up because Charles Leclerc, as well as Carlos Sainz and Daniel Ricciardo, were all coming up into the mix as well. So you could definitely tell I was backing up Verstappen into all of these guys. And then on lap 26, now I make a bit of a mistake right there, but we were just hanging on for dear life at this point. I knew my pit stop was very, very close here, so I'm just trying to make it another lap or so, basically, so we can come into the pit lane, put on those soft tires, and then we're going to be right back into the whole situation where we are in traffic, surrounded by everybody, and have to try and find a way past them. So that was a little bit intimidating to be back in that situation. I was loving this right here. This view is beautiful. I could absolutely get used to this now, as at the end, though, of lap 27, we would would be coming into the pit lane here. So we held on and we did our job, and I felt like we did a really good job of commanding the grid right there for the situation that we were in. But we come in to put the soft tire on in our first and only pit stop on the day, and I was really hoping that I was going to be able to find a way to get lucky and get a safety car, but it never did happen. That's why I was trying to stay out as long as I could, because if a safety car came out, we come into the pit lane, and next thing you know, we're like 5th or 6th or something like that, instead of down here in the 10th position. I was really surprised, by the way. We were ahead of Lewis Hamilton and our teammate of Sebastian Vettel, so just staying out longer actually worked out in a way. So now on lap 29, I would actually have my fastest lap of the day here now in Monaco, but I was absolutely shocked that we were up here in the 10th position considering how long we stayed out. Gasly, though, he was way ahead of me, actually 3.7 seconds, so he pitting before myself is really going to work out for him. But we set the fastest sector 1 time, and then we came through here sector 2 towards the end of it. We set a good time, our best one, but not the actual session fastest sector 2 time, but we got through sector 3 really well. And then I'm like, wait a minute, there's a chance we could set the fastest lap of the Grand Prix right here. I don't think there's anybody else in the grid right now with soft tires, so it kind of worked out perfect for us. And sure enough, we come through down the front straightaway, across the line, fastest lap of the GP for myself here in the Aston Martin. That was a very nice little add-on to just how good the GP has gone for us now. Bit of a race update though a little bit later on this 30th lap of the GP. Max Verstappen out in front over his teammate of Sergio Perez Red Bull BMW here. It might be one heck of a duo between those two partners, as they are 1-2, Bottas in 3rd, Leclerc with Sainz, Ferrari 4th, 5th, Ricciardo 6th, Russell 7th, Gasly 8th, Lando Norris 9th, and myself chasing him in 10th. Lando Norris, a really rough start to the season so far, no points for him, and he looks to change that here today, as he's currently holding on to a few of those now, as Vettel is 13th, and Lewis Hamilton is all the way down in the 14th position. And at this point, with 10 laps to go, there's really nothing he can do to salvage that unless he gets some lucky, crazy strategy with a safety car mixed in there. At the back of the grid, though, we had Max Schumacher as well as Nicholas Latifi. So they were running 19th and 20th place. But now on lap 34, you can just see the pace we have compared to these guys in front of us. We had gotten to the back of Lando Norris in the McLaren, now a team that I would absolutely love to race on. I really like the idea of potentially being on McLaren at some point in this My Driver career mode. Now I feel like we can get in that car and really it fits my driving style more, and I can really attack. So that's a car that I really want to be in at some point, maybe even as soon as next season if we keep doing what we're doing, that is, and proving that we're worthy of a fast car. Now a big move up the left-hand side of Lando Norris into turns 1, putting the attack to him. You can't go side by side through here, but we're going to do it anyways now. Close quarters there with the McLaren driver, but we make it work still side by side as we head towards this right-hander. Who is going to back out? It's going to be Lando, and we take over the 9th place. What a scrap that was for a good 10 seconds or so. Worth every second of it. That was an absolute blast. We kept it clean, no contact with anything, and we move up into 9th place. So I was surprised that we were able to pull that off and even run down Lando in the first place, but we've been struggling on pace all weekend long, but all of a sudden coming into the race, we've just found something, and it really clicked here. But we come straight through to the final 2 laps of this GP, trying to run down Pierre Gasly. By the time we came through to the final lap, we had gotten close, but it wasn't close enough. I knew at this point that the odds of passing were extremely low, especially when I'm almost wrecking the car out of turns 1, but just too much of a gap. There's 0.7 of a second between the two of us. So at this point, it's just bring the car home in 9th place. Our worst finish, actually, surprisingly, of the season, but I feel like in terms of just straight up pace and racing, this was our best race of the season. We didn't have to rely fully on strategy and luck with a safety car to get us into a good position. We got here on pace. Of course, there was a little bit of luck with the strategy involved with Hamilton being held up, our teammate Sebastian Vettel just lacking the pace there after the first run, and that's put us up into a really good spot in the 9th position here as we come through the chicane for the final time. It's Max Verstappen, though, up at the front, and he would actually come through to win the Monaco GP. Sergio Perez would be 2nd, Bottas in 3rd, then you had Ferrari of Leclerc 3rd, Carlos Sainz 4th, and then of course Daniel Ricciardo was up there in the top 5 here as we come through the penultimate corner. Nothing we can do at this point with Pierre Gasly unless he makes a mistake right here, loses some grip, which he does not, and I get down on that throttle as much as I can, as soon as I can, not enough, but we cross the line for a very strong 9th place finish here in the Monaco GP. I will take that. Last season in our rookie season with us, we finished P14. Today we step it up by 5 spots there with P9 as we get driver driver of the day as we have some post-race celebrations here for Max Verstappen and Red Bull Racing BMW.
They've done it then. They've won here in Monaco with an emphatic performance and a victory they can be proud of for years to come. Anthony, tell me, what was it that helped them achieve this success?
I feel like consistency was probably the key today. There's being quick, and then there's being quick lap after lap after lap. If you can do that, you can capitalise on other people's errors without making many of your own. And that's an approach that can push you a long way up the field.
Here come today's winners. The team at Red Bull have done a phenomenal job recently. It's clear to see that they've put in the work and they should be proud of the victory they secured here.
What a Grand Prix it was here. That was absolutely a blast. Now, it wasn't the craziest Grand Prix, and we really haven't had very crazy Grand Prix to start the season in general, but in the next one we do go to Azerbaijan, so that could absolutely be a very wild race there. So I'm excited to go to Baku now. As we look at the driver standings, we are now at 21 points, so I know for a fact at this point we do have the most points we've ever had. Now, as last season we did not get anywhere close to 21 in the Haas, but actually we lose a spot in the Constructors with Aston Martin. We're 1 point behind Ferrari and 1 point ahead of McLaren, who's struggling a lot this season now, as it's Ricciardo who's been really leading the field for McLaren, as Lando Norris has been having a horrendous season. He gets 10th place and does pick up 1 point here today, but he really needs to step up the game if he wants to bring it to Daniel Ricciardo, who is on top of it this season. Last season it was the opposite. Lando was clearly the best driver, won a couple Grand Prix. Daniel Ricciardo, of course, won a Grand Prix as well, and then after that they kind of faded in behind the Mercedes and Red Bull teams, and now this season have got a little bit of work to do. And you can see that they have the best chassis in Formula One. They're a strong team. They just got to get on it here and got to be more consistent and hope that they get a little bit of luck and some turnaround here in the coming episodes now. But I actually noticed our market value is now up over $5 million, so nice to see that going up here in this career mode now. As always, if you guys enjoyed, you know what to do. I'd like to thank you all for taking the time today to watch this episode. Now, as you see the driver standings, Hamilton not much of a lead anymore over Bottas, who got 3rd place there in Monaco. Hamilton no points whatsoever, so it's going to get close between these two again this season. It looks like Verstappen as well up in the battle, and if he can put up more performances like he did today in Monaco, I can very well see Verstappen being a championship threat for the first time in his Formula One career, just like he is in real life this season. So I'm very excited for Azerbaijan, and then we have my home track of Canada coming up, so excited for the next couple episodes for sure. Before we end it, I would just like to say a quick thank you to the Going Racing members on the channel of MJ, Joseph 9001, Timothy Arline, Hayes Gaming, Brett Durward, Dark Gengar Gaming, AJ Vasura, Russell Dixon, Kenneth Barnett, Dana9302, Speed Demon 341, Ellis Emery, as well as Jay Fitz. I appreciate your guys' support so much, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Have a great day, everybody.